Hello guys, how are you doing? First of all, I would like to say it is a pleasure to be here with you today. This is RIO's first live for the USA market, for our USA partners. Actually, this is RIO's first live in English. So I hope you guys like, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I really hope that the content we will be presenting here today can be of value to you. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Luisa Falon. I'm a member of RIO's Market Intelligence and Product Development team. Today we are going to talk about cylinder liner. Cylinder liner, as you may know, is one of RIO's most known components. I'm here today with my colleague, Daniel Schmitz, as host of this live show. Now I will pass the word to Daniel so he can introduce himself. Daniel here is the leader of RIO's Market Intelligence and Product Development team. Daniel?
Hello guys, my name is Daniel, as Luis already introduced you. It's a pleasure being here, and we'll make a brief introduction about cylinder liners. First of all, let's talk a little bit about RIO. Who is RIO? RIO is a 75 years old company established in the south of Brazil. So we are specialized in casting, development, and machining materials, mainly for automotive markets. Nowadays, we produce many products such as valve guides, valve seats, valve tappets, talking about the valve train, and also the cylinder liners is a very important product we produce. Currently, we export for 25 countries all over the world, including USA, including China, Europe, Middle East, whole Latin America, and the North Africa. Today, we will talk a little bit about the cylinder liners, which is one of our most sold products. Luis will start talking to you about these items.
Okay. So guys, before going deeper into the subject, we would like to introduce you to the topics we will be dealing with today, which are what is the cylinder liner, its application, the manufacturing process, differential of RIO, installation tips, and some more content for you. We understand that along the live show, along the presentation, you may have some questions, you may have some doubts. So we will ask you to take some notes, because at the end of the live, we will have some time reserved for the questions, all right? So, starting talking about the cylinder liner. First, what is the cylinder liner? Cylinder liner basically is an internal component of the engine, which together with other components such as pistons and piston rings, pursue the correct sealing of the cylinder, the correct sealing of the combustion chamber of the engine, allowing a perfect compression and explosion to occur. There is another point we have to mention, that the cylinder liner saves you money. Why do I say that? Imagine if you didn't have the cylinder liner. Your cylinder would be directed on your block. If you damage it, if you need to repair the cylinder, you would have to remove material from your cylinder, remove material from your block. As you know, outside of the cylinder, you have water, you have oil. So we can say that you have a limit for how much you can oversize your cylinder. Once you reach this limit, you would need to basically scrap your entire block. So that's why I said the cylinder saves you money. And because of that, it's important to mention that RIO has liners for up to 2 millimeters, for oversize up to 2 millimeters. So you have a wide range of oversize RIO can be supplying to you. Now we are going to talk a little bit about the functioning of the liner. Daniel?
The liners, basically the combustion chamber, where the liner is placed in the block. We have the piston, we have the rings and the cylinder head, and inside it's where we have the liner, inside the block. What should it be done? Inside the liner, the engine comes and press the air and combustion and fuel, and then we have the explosion. The liner should be plenty of oil to allow the piston to slide it and the piston rings to seal the combustion chamber. And then it comes several times per minute, goes up and down, and it happens every time. So the function of the liner is to keep sealed the combustion chamber. Basically, there are two types of liners. We have the wet liner and the dry liner. Why should it be called like this? Let's think about the engine at all. When we have a wet liner, we used to say it's just applied inside the engine, and everything, every cooling fuel, water is running over outside the cylinder liner. So it works wet. That's why we call like this. And when we have a dry liner, we have kind of a sleeve you need to insert in the block and do what Luis told before. Inserting, we open the block and you put it inside it and you have it standard again. So all the liners of RIO, the dry liners, we have 0.8 millimeters inside. We call it something like over material to remove, and then you check your piston very carefully and you keep it. You bore the liner and hold the liner to make the exact clearance between the piston and the liner. So you make it standard once again.
That's why I said the liners can save you money, right? Daniel talked about the dry liner in this case. With the dry liner, you don't need to change your engine block. You just need to replace the liner, reusing your block, and that's why I said the liner can save you a lot of money. Should we talk now about the manufacturing process, or you have something more to?
One very important thing is when we talk about the wet liners, because the dry liner you need to install it in a repair shop, and the wet liner can be replaced by the mechanic, can be done in the road. It's just a matter of take the cylinder head, because usually the wet liners is a single cylinder head. So every piston have its own cylinder head, and you can take it out. Just a matter of take the cylinder head and just release the bolts of the connecting rod. You can change the piston and you can change the liner in the road, in the field, where the trucks usually have a failure. So you can repair and you can change it there. When we go to a dry liner, you need to have a repair shop where a specialist, an expert, like we used to say, need to measure and have the suitable tools to change it and install it. Okay. Let's go through the manufacturing process. Yes.
All right, guys. So now let's talk a little bit about the manufacturing process of the liners. The first step in the manufacturing process is the casting. Well, before talk about the casting, we have a video, really short video, I believe, something around 25 seconds, really quickly, I will ask Anna to show us the video. Anna, can you play the video 1? Okay, guys, the video you saw just now is the casting process. I understand the video is not so detailed, so I will explain a little bit now. This process is called centrifugal casting. What's the difference between the centrifugal casting and the conventional casting, the static casting? Static casting is pretty common. Basically, you have a mold, you will fill up the mold with molten metal, and the gravity itself will distribute the molten metal into the mold. So when it becomes solid, you will remove the part and finish by another process. Okay. The centrifugal casting is pretty similar, but the major difference between them is while you are filling up the mold, this mold is spinning, and this is by spinning the mold, it creates a centrifugal force. That's why the name, centrifugal casting. This centrifugal force forces the metal, the molten metal, against the wall of the mold, which are the outer diameter of the liner and the inner diameter of the liner. And here is the, let's say, the secret of the process. Together with the molten metal, this forces also the impurities of the material to the external perimeter of the mold. So once it's solid, you will remove from the mold, and all the impurities of the metal will be at the outer diameter of the liner and the inner diameter of the liner. I will show you now how the liner comes out of the mold. Here, oh, this is heavy. we can call it rough machined liner. So all the impurities, I will go get closer to the camera. So it's raw. All the impurities of the material is in the outer diameter of the liner and in the inner diameter of the liner. In the next step, Daniel will be talking a little bit about it, but in the next step, the idea is we will remove this impurities, this material, and it will remain just a high soundness material in a process with a great cost soundness material, basically a product defect-free.
Yeah, the cylinder liner, basically, we can say it's not the same, but the cylinder liner is here, is the core.
Yeah.
So we remove about 6 millimeters from the inner and the outer diameter, and remain only with the core, where we don't have, we have a very sound material. We don't have impurities. We don't have particles that aren't the alloy we want to have in the final liner. So
centrifugal casting now it's considered the best process for manufacturing of liners, right?
Most suitable. Yes. Nowadays we have talking about the casting. Let me put it down. Today we can cast about 3.2 thousand tons per month of cast iron. We work with more than 80 different alloys and classes of materials, and we have 16 ovens in our factory. And talking about cylinder liners, from these 3.2 thousand per month, 50 tons per month are dedicated for cylinder liners. So we have 10 centrifugal machines like that we showed in the video. We show a little bit far, but these are the machines we have. So 10 machines spinning melting and iron to make the liners every month, 750 tons per month. This is our capacity. Okay?
Okay, sorry, I forgot to mention before.
No, don't worry. So let's talk about the machining. So I would like to ask Anna to play the video number 2. Okay, you saw the video of brand new process. We have a couple of sets like that you saw in the video. Currently, every 30 seconds, a liner comes out. So nowadays, we are producing 150,000 cylinder liners per month. That process basically is take the rough bushing. We saw the bushing. So we make a preliminary step when we slice the bushing, that raw bushing you saw. Imagine that one, we could take 3 or 4 pieces like this. And that raw bushing, we machine it inside and goes to to that set you saw. What that machine does, it talks the rough bushing, put in the machine, position it, make the first rough machining, then goes turn it, clean it, and go to the final machining. So every 30 seconds, one finished liner is out the process. No one touched it, and both machines can work all day long. Only is a matter of remain the fuel with rough bushings to make it. Okay. And now the last step, we could make like this. It's very common to the market, make the wet liners, the dry liners like that. But RIO has one special final step. I would like Anna to show the video now, the video 3, and later we talk about it. That's it. The difference we can have is a final grinding. We grind the outside diameter of the dry liners, and it allows us to have a very tight range of diameters of our liners. What's the main difference? Because you need to open the block and you need to make everything. So why so careful in the outside? The main difference is to save time and money once again to the repair shop, where you can measure one liner and you can open all the cylinders, because you don't need to check every liner and set your machine and open the block and install that liner. And if you change them, you have a problem. No, we assure you, you can measure one machine, one liner, sorry, and open the whole block, 6 cylinders, 4 cylinders, 3 cylinders, whatever. You can check. You open the box, all the liners inside it are in the same standard. So we grind it outside, then we laser mark it, and we oil them, and we pack them, we protect them, very careful. And our packaging also guarantee to the user it will be safe there. It's very common if you don't have an adequate and suitable packaging. The liners arrive in the customer. Imagine if you make something like this in the process, in the transportation, and it comes with crack or it comes irregular. So we protect, we take care of the liner since the beginning till the final packaging, and we assure you will receive it and will arrive there to the final customer according it where it came out from our line.
Okay,
Let's
that's
go.
it. All right. Let's now talk a little bit about the differentials of RIO. First, we need to mention our production capacity. We're talking about what, 150,000 liners per month, right? And
Yes.
that's a lot of liners.
It makes us the biggest cylinder liner manufacturer in South America, or Latin America, I would say.
Latin America.
Yes.
We are the largest factory of alloys also.
Yes, number of alloys.
That's it. We have a special process called plateau honing. Daniel will be talking a little bit more about it, but it's a really special process that gives all the differentials, right?
So let's show it a little closer. If we come here, Anna, beside here, please.
We have
And,
a picture, right?
I'm not sure the light is okay, but inside the liner, we have the honing, and it should be done with a specific degrees, because what does the honing does? The honing process makes inside the liner, you make something like scuffs. No,
Discussing.
yeah. We have the. And what is this function? These wrists, how to say? If you let's figure out, we don't have it, just machine, like the turning process. Then when the oil goes inside the cylinder, the piston puts the oil inside the liner, and every time the pistons comes up, the oils comes up, and when it push it down, it won't go down, because the liner, the machine turning process will keep the oil inside it. So after some times of working, it will start smoking, uh, and maybe in a very tough situation, we have the hydraulic sheen. We can say that.
And
So
if the oil can go up, your engine will start to smoke. Uh, If the oil can go up, you also allow the fuel to escape from the combustion chamber, right?
sure.
You can lose compression. Your engine could lose power. You will have a higher fuel consumption. You can
Oil consumption also.
oil consumption. Also, you can get your engine carbonized by the oil in the combustion chamber. And so you can have a lot of problems because of that.
So a simple solution could be just make it very smooth. But if we do like this, so the oil just go down, and there should be a little film, a thick film of oil between the cylinder liner and the sliding parts, the engine, the piston, and the piston rings. So it cannot be smooth. That's why we have a process called honing. You should done this also in the dry liners, like we talk about it. But in the wet liner, we already do this. So in the first hours of the work, in the engine, we have the braking. What is the braking? Anna, could you put that picture, please? If we saw the bottom picture, that it's like we see this honing in a liner usually. What it is, it comes from the process. And after several hours working, what is the braking? Is the piston rings and the piston comes up and down and make these sharp peaks, make it lowers. And that is what we call the plateau honing do here. We make this before. We do something like a pre-braking. When we have the plateau honing, you have the peaks, we make it down, and we don't have such wear of the liner, because to remove these peaks, also the piston rings are worn in the process. So it's make more, we keep the honing, and we avoid the waste we have in the whole system when we have the braking.
And we increase the life cycle of the piston rings, the liner,
Sure.
of your whole set.
Yeah, the whole set, the whole engine. When we go to the dry liner, there's a difference there. All the dry liners, we supplied them with over material, 0.8 millimeters, I already talked before. Because you need to take this, measure the piston, because there are several pistons in the market. The most safe situation is you to measure the piston and then set your machine to bore the liner, to bore the cylinder. Then you have the exact situation. So that's why we don't supply something like a plateau honing in the dry liners.
Great. Another difference of RIO is that RIO has a lot of different components, different alloys also for high performance engines, right? Then we have alternative components for these engines, alloys with higher wear resistance and more. We can talk also about the semi-total liner.
That's it. What is we call semi-total? It's our
Creation.
our creation, our name, because listening to the customer, to the final user who installed the liners, we saw there are many applications. We have a very wide range, but we don't have all of them. And some of them, the quantities are just a few. It doesn't make sense for you to have another part number to set a whole machining process to make very few quantities, because maybe the difference is very few in the dimensions. So what have we created? We called it semi-total liners. What it means? None of these measures are finished. It's everything for you to adopt, to make it according to your needs. I would say, remember that rough bushing we take before? This is kind of that bushing, but we just take out that material we need to remove. And the rest is up to the final user to make the liner according to his application. It's very common. Customers come to us and said, "Oh, I need a liner like this one, but 10 millimeters longer, or 2 millimeters in the other diameter bigger, or well, something like this." So that's why we have this. several applications. We have a pack of liners semi-total in our range. So it's up to you. What you need, you can choose one of them and make it according to your needs.
In Brazil, it's pretty common, right?
Pretty common, yes.
Uh, all right. I believe now we can talk a little bit. We call it curiosity, but it's not a curiosity. When we talk about liner, the liner family is divided in two, basically wet liners and dry liners. But even in these two families, we have some difference. We have some curiosities, as I said. So we can talk a little bit about it. The fire ring.
Fire ring, the scrapper ring. Um, when the how to say the Euro 5 and uh, Euro 6, now we are talking about Euro 7. Since the Euro 5, the wet liners for heavy trucks comes with something like this scrapper ring. The scrapper ring, let me change to the side camera. Anna, please. Yes, that's it. The scrapper ring is a ring we install in the cylinder liner up here, and it have a load function. When it is installed here, its diameter is a little more close than the liner diameter, and when the piston comes up, this ring scraps the carbonization and the oil residuals and all the other how to say impurities in the piston. So let's come back. And these impurities removed from the piston are just thrown away through the exhaust with the exhaust gases. Okay. So when we talk about the newer engines, the more recent engines, we will have the scrapper ring. Another situation, but now talking about the dry liners. Anna, please. It's this relief. It's called the fire stopper ring. It has a single function: avoid the cylinder head gasket to be burned. That's why fire stop ring. It's a ring in the liner to stop the fire to comes out and burn the gasket. We have also, when suitable, we have also these characteristics in our liners. Always following the OE project, and when necessary, there are some improvements we can do in the liners. Some, like we go to the market, we always focusing on the customer success. So it's very common the customers come to us and said, I have such type of problem. If you do something like this different, you could improve, or you could save me time, you could improve the performance of the engine or the lifetime. We are always looking and hearing our customers. So if you have any suggestion, please let us know.
Okay. So, guys, now we would like to give you some installation tips for the liners. First, both wet liner and dry liner, they must not be assembled by using some kind of impact on it. You should always use a press or retract the liner using nitrogen, for example. Talking about the wet liners, RIO leaves, when the liner comes out from RIO, the liner is ready to apply. Use the wet liners, right? Talking about the wet liners. RIO leaves the liner ready to assemble. So you don't need to finish, you don't need to machine it, you don't need to do any process to assemble the line. It comes to you ready to apply. Finished. We should say you need to have redouble care with the liner color, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Then, yes. We always suggest you to check its perpendicularity, okay, before assembling the in your engine. I think we should mention the
Also, it's very important to check just to complete, because sometimes the engine block was machined in the top, because sometimes it's not very plain, and then they need to machine. When you machine, the bottom seat of the collar will remain the same, and you need to check the projection of the liner. Otherwise, you should have a problem when you install the cylinder head. You don't have an appropriate seating in the cylinder head in the block. So it's very important to check how much it is upper than the cylinder block face.
perfect, perfect. Uh, Talking about the dry liner, Daniel already mentioned before, but RIO leaves 0.8 millimeters of
Over material.
over material over material in the inner diameter of the liner. So you can finish the, as Daniel said before, you need to measure your piston and finish the liner accordingly. Uh, I believe we should mention the projection,
Projection.
yes, of the wet liner.
Oh, look, we were okay. Just like this.
Okay, but if you have something to comment, or it's
No,
okay.
the projection is like it's always like this. It's very important because sometimes when the engine comes, we don't know what had happened before. If you are if the owner of the engine, the truck, don't talk to you what did happen, you need to check, because the responsibility of the service, the warranty is yours. So always check the measurements, everything. Check the perpendicularity, as Luis said. Check if everything is clean. The engine should be clean, because if you have anything in the housing of the collar, when you put the liner and you press the cylinder head, it could be like how to say, well, it could be like a bend, and then you may have a fracture. It may break the collar. So it's very important. Everything in an engine should be clean.
And maybe, how can I say empenado in English?
And bend,
Yes?
yes. I don't know.
Okay.
Translation troubles. Yes.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about the common problems we can find in cylinder liners. First, we can mention the wear in the cylinder liner. This wear can be caused by many factors. One of them is the a frictional wear. It happens when we have two surfaces sliding over each other. In this case, the piston rings sliding over the cylinder liner. This friction, this frictional movement can lead to wearing down both the surface. Of course, there are some other factors that can how can I say
Contribute.
contribute for that, such as lubrication, temperature, pressure, the materials involved for the piston rings and for the liner. So that
Surface treatment of the piston rings is very important.
perfect.
Yeah, there are some engine blocks or some liners. If you have, depending on the treatment you have in the piston ring, it can interfere, because how to say, the friction between the liner and the ring, the friction rate is different, and it can be sometimes, if you have a very hard treatment in the piston ring and you don't have a suitable liner, you can just consume the liner. You can just consume the liner. So it's very important. It's always a matter of assembly, always a matter of an entire kit. One very important thing we don't use to talk when we talk about the combustion chamber is the air filter. Many troubles we have in the cylinder liners, like scratches and impurities and something like this, comes through the air to the combustion chamber if you don't have a clean air filter. So always check the air filter. Always, when you repair the engine, you need to change the air filter. Sometimes you receive the engine and you don't see how is the car or how is the truck. So take care. Or send an air filter to your customer, because all your job can be compromised if it isn't changed. So let's think about the engine working. If you don't have an air filter clean or new, the impurity, the dust, sand can come inside the combustion chamber, the liner, and make a big trouble, big noise there.
Perfect, perfect. We can mention also the corrosion. The corrosion occurs mainly when we are talking of when we are using heavy fuel oil, such as diesel. This kind of fuel oil contains a high content of sulfur. The sulfur in the combustion of the engine becomes sulfuric acid, and the sulfuric acid is aggressive to the metal, aggressive to the liner, such as water. So as higher the sulfur content in your fuel, higher will be your, bigger will be your corrosion, such as I said, the water. So as higher the condensate in the air, and if you have water mixed in your fuel, you will have more problems because of the corrosion. We can, you want to say something? Go. We can talk about the scuffing also. The scuffing happens because of the friction we talked before between the piston rings and the liner. Local welding is created. In the movement of the piston going up, going down, it can break this local welding, and this local welding will become an abrasive particle. This abrasive particle will create this scuffing process in the liner. Of course, as Daniel said, also this particle can come from outside of your engine. If you don't keep your air filter clean, you may have some problems because of that.
Also the oil filters, because there are some impurities the oil filter retain, and if you don't change the oil filter, it becomes saturated, and it just allows the after sometimes it just loses its function, so it allows some particles in the engine comes and make the noise.
Great, great. We can talk about cavitation damage. Cavitation damage is not a kind of wear; it's a different type of problem. The cavitation damage appears mainly when we are using wet liners, because the wet liners have direct contact with the water. So in the combustion of your engine, the vibration of your engine creates some tiny bubbles. These bubbles, when they are close to the outer diameter of your wet liner and implode, being close to the metal, can erode the metal. So over the time, this can lead to a serious erosion, and your liner can leak or even fail. Yes.
That's why in some liners we have such type of surface treatment to avoid such trouble. Depending on the, it's always depending on the market, depending on the customers or the OE projects, we used to follow it. So such type of treatment, surface treatment, is to prevent such problems.
Perfect. Guys, We hope that the content we presented here has been of value to you all, but we understand that you may have some questions, you may have some doubts. So, as I said before in the beginning of the live, we will open the live for a few minutes for those who have questions. So, from now on, we are
Let
open
me
to
make
questions.
one
One
thing
thing.
else.
Okay.
It wasn't in
So,
the script.
The,
Later we
the
come
questions will come after that.
we talk about when we talk about importing liners or sending liners to overseas, a very delicate product. We always talk about the troubles we may have in the transportation. So let's talk about how RIOs care of these liners to assure the customer shall receive them, and show a little bit about our packaging. We developed a new packaging recently, where this is for. Uh, Let me show this. Here, when we open, show this. So we have two QR codes for you to show all the instructions about the installing, and we have several videos here, and also the RIO's manifest. When we open here, we have all the liners protected. Oh, this one we took out, but we have all the liners here, and there's a separator here. All of them are protected with a plastic to keep it safe from corrosion. In the final process, we have the oiling, so we protect it from the oxidation. And let's show this. You can see all of them are separated to avoid it. And after, when we put it here, it comes and protects once again for them to don't shock. And here it does the final process. So a set with four liners, you can prevent, they can go all over the world, overseas, without smashing or beating or damaging. For the wet liners, we have also a special packaging we developed in home, where we can put the liner, and you can see here, we have all the packaging to keep the liner very, very safe. So from the middle to the bottom, we have it here. Then we have some kind of protection for when we put in a pallet, in a container, and then this protects from another one and smashes it. And inside it, also the QR codes. Other camera now, Anna, please. Here also the QR codes when you can check the instructions and also the RIO's information. Now the questions.
And I don't know about you guys, but in my opinion, these boxes are beautiful.
Yeah, the orange box is very beautiful.
Okay, can we open for the questions now?
How can we find RIO's products? Our sales team we have so many distributors all over the world. So the best choice is to get in touch with us, and we can indicate where to find our products, or if you want to buy from us, so our sales team also can indicate. I would like to ask Anna to put the WhatsApp number. Okay, get in touch to us. This is the number. We will return the contact with you. Our sales teams will get in touch to you and tell you if you can find it in the nearby. If you want to buy from us, we can discuss this.
This is our local number. Anna, can you show them the WhatsApp number?
Mas esse número é o WhatsApp.
Okay.
Oh, follow RIO in the social media on Instagram, rio.expertglobal. And also you can find us on Facebook and
YouTube.
YouTube. Okay,
At
more
the
question?
YouTube is nice to say because at the YouTube we have a lot of videos, a lot of content, a lot of instructions, tips, application tips. Well,
Some more videos about our factory, our history, the whole history.
I recommend you to check our YouTube channel.
Luis, there's a question about how to prevent cavitation. You explain about cavitation, please.
How to prevent cavitation?
Yeah, well, I just talked about something like the surface treatment we have in some liners. When the cavitation problem really is prevents those engines, we used to make something like the oxidation or some type of hardening to prevent the cavitation in the liner. So the the worst region, the worst area of the liner would be where we put the treatment. Oh, they asked us to talk a little bit more about the lab where we are. This is the metrology lab. We have also several CMM machines. Well, we manufacture nowadays to basically all of the heavy-duty factories in Brazil and all over the world. We supply to companies in Europe and USA and in China including. So we have a huge structure of labs of metrology, material labs. We have 1, 2, 4 labs here in our company, 2 metrology, 2 for material labs. Here, every piece. That's why we are hearing sometimes the door opening here because the machine is working, because the factory is running. The people take the parts and come here to check all of them. So, what's the question?
What to do?
Lifetime of the cylinder liner. The lifetime, actually, we cannot say any specific situation because it always depends on the condition of the usage. If is the maintenance of the engine, how was the quality of all the other components, depend on the piston ring, depends on the piston, depends on how the liner installation service was done. So always is a matter of checking. There are some signals Luis told us before, like smoking, oil consumption, fuel consumption, losing power. Losing power means losing compression. So these are signals you need to check. Not always you need to change the liner, but you need to check. So there isn't a specific lifetime, I would say, if we talk also about uh, passenger cars, trucks, agricultural machines, energy generators. Depends on the engine, motorcycle, depends on the engines, depends on the application, and most of all, depends on the care is took since the repair till the usage, the owner of the vehicle.
Yeah. And about it, I would like to say something. As Daniel said before, the liner life cycle depends upon many factors. One of these factors is the other components, such as piston rings, and more. It's important to mention again. Daniel mentioned it in the beginning of the life, but RIO has a several number of family of products such as piston rings, liner, uh,
Factory is running.
camshaft, and more. So we are here today talking about the liner, but it's important for you to know that we have many other products.
We saw in the video when we had the machine. It's Gustavo's question. We saw in the video every every liner is 100% checked. So you saw before, after the machining, they measure this. No grinding, and after the grinding, there's another control. Only when it's double checked, we go and laser mark. If you have a liner laser marked reel, you can be sure it's being checked step by step during the all the manufacturing process. There are several types. We have the how to recognize the original liner reel. More than the the laser mark in the product, we have some. Let me show here beside in the our label. We can have some different, like the hologram and the QR code. You can always check this if the product is original real or not. The label and the QR code. Okay. What else? Talked about the social media.
Guys, don't forget to follow us on the Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook,
All the social media.
Twitter, TikTok.
Okay. Any more questions?
Okay.
Okay. Dudu, please. Lead time. Actually, developing new liners, we used to take something between 4 and 6 months. It always depends because we need to check if already have a rough bushing. So there are two different time to develop it. If we need to develop tools to machining, to the mandrels to take it inside, and also the centrifugal tool to make the casting. Usually it takes 4 months, but if we need to develop the tools, it will depends on the number of tools we shall develop. But don't hesitate to asking us. Okay.
Okay, guys, I believe our meeting was really productive. It's always a joy for us to be together with our customers, together with our partners, and contribute to our customer success. I now pass the word to Daniel to close our amazing meeting.
I would like to thank you very much in name of Rio's team, and say it was a pleasure being here. We are always at your disposal. If you have more doubts, more questions, you can leave your questions on the live chat or on any other social media, WhatsApp, whatever you need. We are always at your disposal. So it was a pleasure. Thank you very much, and count on Rio.
Count on Bridge.